we joke about the lockdowns, but they're actually really horrifying, and now we know they're rooted much more in fear than they are in science. You could remember from the beginning of the COVID-19, the China Wuhan coronavirus pandemic coverage that largely started with shaming people for being too paranoid and too xenophobic. Why were they doing this? Because our establishment media was afraid that China was going to get the blame, and they liked doing business in China. And they were also afraid that President Trump's message about the Communist Party was going to get internalized by the American public, and we were going to think Trump was correct about China. So they had to change the narrative. And the narrative at the start was everyone is overreacting to this thing. Let me give you some examples. NPR on January 24th of this year referred to as the Wuhan coronavirus. They went back in and edited the word Wuhan out of the article. Here's Wired. Wired said we should de-escalate the war on coronavirus in January. They said fear and finger-pointing and militaristic action against the virus are unproductive, and we're better off adjusting to a new normal of periodic outbreaks. Could you imagine if someone on the right said that? Axios said something I actually sort of agree with. If you're freaking out about coronavirus and you didn't get a flu shot, you've got it backwards. This is real reports. I'm reading directly from it. This opinion is totally reasonable, but could you imagine if someone from Breitbart or conservative outlet put this out? We'd be thrown off of the internet completely for fake news. Yet this was being reported by our establishment press. I think CNN might have put their finger on it. They actually said that the whole point of the virus hysteria was fueling racism and xenophobia against the Chinese. Again, how could we possibly blame China? Even though China, of course, is the world's biggest jailer of journalists. And China has literal concentration camps for Muslims. But we can't blame them because we got to do business in China. That's what the establishment media said. On the contrast, Breitbart, on January 22nd, Senator Tom Cotton told us exclusively, we need to consider having a travel ban from China because of the virus. Now, a little ahead of his time, wasn't he, on that one? But none of this compares to my favorite story, which was written by a guy at the New York Times named Farhad Manjoo. Do any of you know who Farhad Manjoo is? Farhad Manjoo insists that his pronouns are they and them, so plural. Farhad Manjoo also wears a beard. So if you want to know Farhad Manjoo's gender or sex, then you can't look at the beard on his face. You have to refer to him as they or them. It sounds very logical and scientific. So he said that the coronavirus is not much more frightening than SARS or MERS, and that the new death toll is far less than the flu. He got in trouble for this, so he had to come back, and he kind of apologized, sort of, and updated it and said it might be used to justify unnecessary severe limits on movement on civil liberties, here comes the kicker, especially of racial and religious minorities around the world. So it's all racist. It was a racist virus at the start. Any of you who took it seriously at the start, you're all racist. And this was repeated throughout the media. And now we come to today, where Dr. Deborah Birx from the President's Coronavirus Task Force, she got caught by the Associated Press traveling to at least 3 of her homes, not a joke, or as Joe Biden would say, not a joke. And she was traveling with a 77-year-old and a 92-year-old. So what are we supposed to do? We're all supposed to lock down. We're not supposed to go to conventions like this. We're not supposed to socialize at all. We're supposed to stay at home and watch Obama documentaries on Netflix or something and wait for permission to get out of our house. We're not going to do it any longer. And that's why you're seeing so many people out in California, for example, rebelling. They're opening their businesses. They're opening up. And all of this is to tell you that the media is never to be trusted. All this is to tell you that Democrat politicians are never to be trusted. And if one person in the media happens to wear a beard but insists they're gender non-binary and should be referred to as a plural, definitely don't trust those people. But the biggest point I can make of all is what's happening in Washington today. What's happening today is they're debating on a bill, a government funding bill. We just got the bill size. You guys might be figuring this out just now, those of you who are on your phones. It's over 5,500 pages long. Guess how long the Congress has to read it? It's 6 hours. I'm a fast reader, not that fast. Maybe I get through 4 pages, maybe. And what's in it? A $600 cash handout for people. Now, people are generally supportive of some sort of direct cash handout because of the government telling everyone to shut down. But I'll tell you this, it would be better. Why don't you allow us to open up our country and let people get back to work?